Hi everyone, welcome to our recording of our Capstone project demonstration video of the AI Coder project. Our group consists of Daniel Dame, Jason Ju, I'm Sofia Komerskova, and also Melissa Babcock. We have chosen the AI Coder because we are very interested is an understatement. We are fascinated with the AIs and its capabilities. And even though some people may think that an AI project is double the amount of work, which is in fact is because we have to create an app and then also an extensive file of our AI research, the comparisons, and our conclusion which one is better for certain things or which one is superior overall. We still were invested and we just decided to do it because we like the idea. Okay, so for AI Coder, we were to choose one of the projects posted on the Capstone project site by the Oregon State. We chose one of the 3-month project because we are only quarterly based, and we have decided to go with the dating app for animal adoption app for our AI Coder project. This is our repo. It's called Pet Shelter, and then we later renamed it to Forever Match, which I'll be showing and talking about. The highlights that I'll present to you today. Before I get to that, I want to show you our schema and a little bit describe 2 options we were looking at with our app and which one we decided to go with. So I just posted here our poster so you could see our schema and a little bit of the code and the structure of what we are going to look at. The pet adoption project could have been understood from 2 angles. One of them would be the app is kind of third-party app where people enter animals and human profiles, and we on the back end would match them to our best capabilities to see who matches each animal the best. Or it could be a simpler app, which would be pretty much run by the admin as a shelter, and people would input animals that need an adoption and send it over to us when we would on our end enter the animals into the database and make it available for everybody to see, so that this way we don't have to do manual review everything because it will go through us, so we don't have to worry that somebody's going to be entering some nonsense or some adoption item animal that we would not be entering it either that way or at all. So when we look, let me talk about the actual app for a little bit. It is a Python Flask app. It's run on Docker. When you look at our repo that I already mentioned in the introduction, you can see that we have a README in case for people that have not worked with Docker. You can see how to install Mac, Windows, or Linux. Installation commands. We need to get to the file, then we need to build the Docker containers, and we need to start them. Then after the Docker is running, we go to localhost 8000 where we locally run the app, which is after I've done all the above. I am running on localhost 8000, and we get to see the landing page of our app. So as I mentioned, it's called Forever Match, and you're looking at the home landing page. We have our mission here, cute picture of a doggy, and also the search function that's going to be featured. I decided to put it on the landing page because I feel like the user should be able to search for the animals they're interested in adopting, besides being able to just scroll down and look for any other animals that are here, because it could be multiple pages. You don't know, depending on the day or the time of the year, and you may just want to quickly search for Labrador because you just want Labrador, you don't want any other pet or breed of dog. So if you look at how it works, we can just do, well, let's say we want to adopt pit bull, why not? We don't put a date because we don't want to limit our search, and we don't put this position because we may not necessarily care about other animals or children because we don't have any of them. we'll search and we see that we have a cute little pit bull here on the beach. I think that is available for adoption. So we have the search results. We can go back to home. We can always go to home by clicking on home. Now, next page we see is about us. So this is just a brief description of the app, what we do, and how we do our best to match the prospective owners with pets that needs adoption. Then we have a join us part, which is pretty much looking for people that would like to work with us or looking for employment and are qualified or would like to help and volunteer for the shelter, and this is our email. And then this is the part that I wanted to talk to. So there's two, I'll be logging in two different ways so I can demonstrate what we have in here. So first we're gonna do, if you are a regular user, you want to adopt an animal, you like the cute pit bull on the beach, so you need to sign up because you don't have a profile. So we're gonna do Peter Griffin here. Peter Griffin's username is going to be peter.griffin. Email peter.griffin@gmail.com. And password, we're going to pick some password. I'm going to put some phone number and address. We're going to sign him up. And then we're going to username him, put a password in. And welcome Peter Griffin is right here, so we see all the information. And then, you can look through the things and look for adopted animals. Now, if I log Peter out and I log in as an admin, the nav bar is gonna look a little different because as I mentioned, we have two dashboards here. One of them is for user, so we can search user by ID in case we need to check any of these people, or we can see them down here, the recent ones. We need to look up any details about a person prior to deciding about the adoption. We do it right here. We also have an animal admin dashboard, and over here that's where we add a new animal. So we choose dog, we enter French Bulldog. He's good with animals, good with children. And then we'll pick French Bulldog pictures. There we go, cute Frenchie right here. And we're just gonna enter him right here. Okay. Frenchie who likes to cuddle. So we add a profile, and then when we look at the recent ones, we see the Frenchie over here available for the adoption. So those were the other dashboards. We also had the original search online in the back for us as an admin, but like I mentioned, I prefer to put it in the front just in case users should be able to search for the animals instead of just scrolling down, since it can be like time consuming. All right, so these are the features we have. Now we're going to move on to development, which means we'll be talking about major contribution of each member. And we are going to start with me. Okay, so I was in charge of the user interface design, and I was doing also the front end. The technologies that I used. So I used Figma to create UI design. I have a little bit of Figma here because I wanted to show you Clappy later. But so I created one for the phone and then did some for the computer too. After I created design, since this is AI generation project, I was looking at different AIs which would generate the code the most ideal way. So now I don't want to be skipping, but I'm going to mention it here since I have it over here. So there's this amazing plugin for Figma called Clappy, where you can just literally any design that you created, like this MacBook Air 1 screen for creating a human profile, you just click on generate code, and it's gonna create a whole. You can look at preview. The code for. Now, where did the code go? I guess we can say edit and see it. And you see it like creates everything in here for you. Now this is only one page, so you see it, just like few items as a components and the CS, HTML and everything for the, but it just creates a React app for you, which I think is great. And this is actually showing what it's going to look like, which is exactly how I had it for that purpose in my Figma. Now, it's great that we have the possibility. It's great that it's React. The only issue that I have with it is that I encountered is that since it is very complex code and creates the whole app for you from the top to the bottom, if I need to fix any minor thing, I have to go through the whole app looking for details where I need to correct something. And that may be a little more complicated. So later on, I just decided to stick with ChatGPT because it seemed to be more easier for me to be changing things as I went, and copying pasting code that I needed to be edited and adjusted at that moment. Now, I already mentioned the steps. The original plan was that we divided the tasks by front end, back end, and database. I was in charge of front end. Dan and Jason went in charge of back end, and Melissa was in charge of database. We pretty much stuck to our plans, and everything went well. The only thing that happened is that the repo got a little messy, so we decided to structure it and put it in the new repo. So we just started with one repo, they got a little messier, so then we just overhauled the project, put in the next one. But besides that, we stuck to everything. The challenges, there are always challenges when you work in the team environment. The most important thing is communication. I like to say, blink if you see this. Put a little bit of joke on it because we're all busy. We're finishing school. Many of us work. Many of us have kids. Not me, but others might. So time management is definitely a factor. But as I say, if we can communicate properly and talk to each other about issues, we can take turns and figure everything out. And what did I learn from this project? Sticking with one AI tool, I would agree with that. Just decide which one is the best for me. It ended up being ChatGPT 4, and I just kept using it through the whole project because it just seemed to have made more sense for that kind of flexibility that I needed for my front end at that time. And then also how important is the efficient and communicative team, especially the communication, very important. And also that this project really could have been done by one person because the abilities of the AI and the knowledge we acquired through OSU is just incredible, and we did not really need for people. But it also made it easier because, as I said, we had to do the app and the document. So next one, we have Daniel. So Daniel was in charge of the back end together with Jason. He coded the back ends and points. He made sure with Jason that it was all working with my front end. We kept on testing it and going over it. I actually have the code in here so we can look at it. So, they had we have the animal profile creation of converting it to the doc, and then displaying the info once it's done for animal both and the human over here. Then we have the test. Then we can clear the database. That was also mentioned in you have the ability to clear the database if you need to. It's in our repo instructions on how to do it. then the guys created routes here for, let me go up, for the back end, for the profiles, as you can see. And then we have the settings file and run file. Okay, let me just go back to Daniel. So the technologies that were used it's a Python Flask. Also, the guys were mainly on the back end comparing ChatGPT 3.5 and 4. I believe they decided in the end that ChatGPT 4 is like way superior, and they just stuck to that. I will also show you some. We have screenshots and different descriptions of Bard AI, Bing Chat, and Copilot. Now the steps in development for the back end, that's the same as I mentioned as on front end. We just needed to coordinate what we need, which endpoints we needed. Then they wrote endpoints, and they were also doing a lot of unit testing. Now the original plan is going to be repetitive with all of us. We are just describing it's how we're going to split up the work, which we did, but then we had to change the repo. The challenges. So the challenges Daniel was facing was dividing the task up for a small project like this was tough. I mean, it was, because as I mentioned, really one person could have done this project in the end with the AI. It also did take a lot of coordination, like he's mentioning, to figure out what was needed from each other. So it was constant, as I was mentioning in all our reports, communication through Microsoft Teams, making sure that we all were on the same page. Then when something was missing, it was updated right away, and that we complied with all the requirements. So what did Daniel learn from this process and project? Sticking to one AI, I agree with that. ChatGPT 4 is very superior than the rest, absolutely. And that one person could have done this app. Yes, I must agree on that. So now we're gonna move to Melissa with the Dan and Jason. I'm not gonna be showing. I showed the backend code, but I'm not gonna be showing the app again because we already went over all the highlights that they're responsible for by being the backend engineers. So Melissa was in charge of a database. She created the database, and it's development using Python MongoDB, which I forgot to mention. It's a MongoDB database app. The technologies she was using was from conversational AI model, she chose GPT and Bard AI. And for pair programming, GitHub Copilot and Codium. And she seemed to have liked both equally. If we look at the code, where do we have it? Right here. So she was in charge of creating the database code right here. What do we have here? Find, insert, update, probably animal, human, delete them, either users or animals once they're adopted. So you can see that right here. And then over here we see that it's a MongoDB. Now, steps in development. She was trying out each step building with the back end, and she tried it with each individual AI technology to make sure that she'll be using the most efficient one, which one's the easiest to use, so she would have most accurate and relevant responses. The plan was, like I already mentioned, use AI models the same and compare them to decide which one is the most efficient, and then also division of the work, which I mentioned previously. Melissa's challenges that she faced were doing web development tasks in Python. She's not used to working with Python, and it took her longer to learn. She probably refers to that our web development class. We did our app in JavaScript that time, not in Python, so it could have been new for a lot of people. And also learning how to use different AI programs and compare them. Yeah, some of these things are challenging to figure out how they work. Sometimes it's not connecting properly and they're crashing, so it was not that much fun. But once you figure it out and get into it, it's way easier. What did she learn from this process? How to better adapt to learning new language or program. I think that's like true for any project you do. You just have to adjust, especially in the team environment, and learn new things because people normally won't always agree on everything, so you have to compromise. She broadened her skills in Python and AI technologies, and she figured out how to leverage AI technologies during the software development process. Okay, also, I want to mention that Melissa took a big charge in this executive summary, and she was putting together all of our notes that we'll be submitting together with our app, which are the results of our research about different AIs and their functionality and their evaluation. All right, so now we're gonna move to Jason, which is our last member we're gonna talk about today. So Jason's part of the project was the back end together with Dan, as I mentioned. And they were focusing on evaluating and comparing different AI technologies. And then additionally, Jason by himself was responsible for creating unit tests for new features. And he was also performing a review of our code and making sure putting it all together, ensuring that my front end was also working with his back end. The technologies Jason used. So there is not missing mention of ChatGPT 3.5, ChatGPT 4 Codium, and GitHub Copilot. He chose it for the following reasons: the coding assistance capabilities, language processing efficiency in developing new features for our project. His steps in development. He initially researched and selected the AI tools he was going to use. He was experimenting with each tool to understand how to use it and its capabilities. He developed unit tests for feature validation, and then he also reviewed code for quality assurance. That was especially important in the last 2 weeks of our project to ensure that everything was working properly. There we go, the original plan and the deviations. The original plan was to systematically compare AI tools and integrate the most effective one into our project workflow, which I believe we all did and mostly stuck to ChatGPT 4. We deviated slightly by expanding our scope to include a broader range of tools than initially anticipated, which is true. And we were able to create more comprehensive analysis, which Melissa then had to work together in that file, because as we started increasing and trying to use other tools to see what would work best, she of course had to incorporate every additional AI tool into our report. What were the challenges that Jason faced? Consistent access to AI tools. Like I mentioned, I encountered that also. Sometimes they were crashing and hard to manage. Managing the volume content for analysis, like I said, we were lucky Melissa mostly put it together from all our results that we were dumping onto her, but it was a big volume of content. Okay, what did he learn? He learned the importance of adaptability when dealing with emerging technologies and the value of thorough testing and review processes. The project also reinforced the significance of a methodical approach to evaluating new tools, ensuring that decisions are data driven and results oriented. So, yeah, so Jason took that question more in terms of tech point of view of learning, while some of us took it more of like a teamwork point of viewing or both, which is fine. And I'm glad that he learned so much from this project. So, where do things go from here? Um, we, since the AI Code project was not really an app on its own, we will not be working on that project and trying to commercialize it because that was not the original goal for it. So there'll be no commercial application. There'll be no future development, probably, unless one of us will decide to create a pet adoption app and develop on this, which is always a possibility. Um, I believe what mostly is gonna happen is that since we have such a great interest in AI and prompt engineering, we'll probably keep on developing the document and use it in our further studies and investigations into prompt engineering in the future. So that's it for our application. Thank you for listening.